Welcome to The Warp. I'm Jack Rita with Future Pastimes, and I wanted to do a video to showcase some of the custom age cards that I have added to my set for Cosmic Encounter. They're also part of my tabletop simulator mod that I call Beyond Odyssey, where we take a lot of the stuff that we love about Odyssey and come up with more stuff for it. There were a lot of ideas that we tried to cram into Odyssey, and there's a lot that got crammed in, but there's always more. And since it has come out, a lot of the longtime fans of Cosmic and playtesters for Odyssey have been coming up with their own variants. And so I like to take advantage of those ideas as well and incorporate them into my set. So I'm going to show off some of these cards and talk about what the different new stuff is that it adds to your campaigns. So we're going to start off with Crossed Wires. I made a card for Crossed Wires, and that's already part of the variants. It's in the back of the rule book there. It tells you how it works, but I thought it would be fun to have a card if you draw it. And just the way that it works is very simple. You're going to draw 2 age cards. The first one, you're going to use the alien selection method, and the second one you are using for the variant and the scoring. And so you line up the little triangles to make a diamond, and that's your new age, which you can chronicle on your score sheet. So instead of something, being everything on the card, it's going to be a half and half. So that's it's a clever thing. I like that Frank did that with the age cards. It allows for more combinations in the game, so that's great. The next one I want to show off is called the Primitive Age of Luddites, and it's got the throwback art because it is kind of a throwback in many ways. This is actually a great age to start a campaign with, especially if you have any newer players or people who don't play a lot of Cosmic Encounter, because it's good to ramp up. Because what you're going to do is you're just using the classic alien selection. You're dealt 2, you choose 1. And the variant is no flares, so you're actually not adding anything. You're taking away, which is kind of the recommended setup that came in the 42nd anniversary edition. They recommend that you don't have flares for your first games. It's actually a variant, whereas in the original Fantasy Flight edition, flares were just part of the game. And that's normally how I like to play it. When I am teaching people, we're going to get together and play a game of Cosmic Encounter, not necessarily a campaign, I'm going to put the flares in there because I think it adds so much to the game. And it's just right at the level of like, okay, I think I can get it. At least it's been successful for me, so I liked having them in there. But this is a great one, I think, to start the campaign because that means that you're adding only one variant in your second age, because normally what you do is you keep the variant from the previous one. And what you can do is you can be very strict and say, all right, we're in our second age, we're adding in the reward deck, but we still don't have any flares. So I like to let people go, all right, do you want to go ahead and add the flares, or do we want to have that carryover into the second one? And if you do that, again, that means that your second game, especially if you have newer players, it's going to be easy for them to comprehend. They're just adding in one more variant. But then when you get to the third age, you're going to have the new variant there, plus you're going to have whatever was in your second age variant. And then presumably you're also adding in the flares. But by then you should be able to comprehend that. All right, the next one is the Obvious Age of Visions. And what happens here is that your alien selection method is actually going to be a combo card. Now, the combo cards, there's 5-player combo cards that come in the 42nd anniversary edition. I also have the 8-player combo cards that we made for the Escape Velocity promo pack. So there's a lot of those. And as we start to go back to events and conventions, we will continue to bring the remaining combo card packs that we have until they're all gone. So I did hand some of those out at Gen Con this year, and I still have some, so I will be sending those out, but only at events for Cosmic fans. So yeah, keep your eyes peeled and your ears to the ground to learn about when we're going to actually show up at another event in person and do that. But I do like having the combo card. So here you're going to use that. The aliens on the combo card are the aliens you're going to have to choose from, and you're just going to go in order down the list, and that's your alien. And then the variant that this adds is the Alliance Styles. Now, Alliance Styles were something that came in Cosmic Eons, and it changes the alliance mechanism for the game. Normally what happens is the offense invites, the defense invites, and then players go in clockwise order from the offense, committing to whichever side they've been invited to, if they wish, and showing everybody, all right, these how many ships I'm bringing. But with the alliance styles, you have a little dial where you're secretly deciding which side to join if you have been invited to both sides, or whether you're joining at all, and how many ships that you'll be sending. And there's some special effects as well on there, like foreign aid. So everyone reveals them simultaneously. And you don't have any information to go off of, because with the original method, you may have been planning to join the offense, but as all of the other players before you in turn order have committed to the defense, you might say, oh, I'm going to change my mind. I don't want to go up against all those players. So that's the benefit you get with the knowledge of the original, but with the alliance styles, it's a little more tense because you don't know what's going to happen. So, and the scoring is very straightforward. It's just foreign colonies, home colonies. But I think it's a fun variant. We couldn't include anything that referenced the alliance styles in Cosmic Odyssey because we didn't include any alliance styles in the expansion. It was just going to be too big of a cardboard footprint. There was a ton of punchboard going on already. And we couldn't really include anything that referred to an expansion component that we couldn't guarantee that everybody was going to have access to. So because I have the alliance styles, I wanted to have a combo card, not a combo card, but an age card that referred to them. All right, we're going to take a look at a couple others here. So this is the Precarious Age of Rivals. And the way this works is it's going to use the Spectrum alien selection, and that's a normal one from the campaign already. But it does a new variant, and that is blind objectives. And the blind objectives are kind of the opposite of the normal objectives in the campaign. So the way those normally work is you're going to have 4 of them face up for all the players to see, and if they can achieve any of those things, they'll score bonus points in a campaign game. With the blind objectives, those 4 cards are face down, and you don't know what they're going to be until the end of the game. Then you flip them up and you see who scored bonus points for having the most ships in the warp, or for how many planets they are co-occupied with another player, or whatever it is. So it's a surprise, and you're never quite sure what's going on. But an alien like AI, for instance, we get to actually look at those. So that's what's kind of interesting and weird about that one. Here we've got another one. Again, it's fairly straightforward. It's the Explosive Age of Chaos. And delegation, again, is another alien selection method already part of the campaign. What this does is it has you using ultra rewards and space stations, which is just a combination of variants that was not part of the campaign. But here you're getting it, and that's definitely going to be, if you're just adding the ultra rewards, that's already a little bit crazy. And now you got space stations, which is going to be part of your scoring on that as well. So nothing too crazy there. Now we're getting into the next 4 that add a little bit more that's new to the game. So I'm going to start with the Ludicrous Age of Extremes. So what happens there is your alien selection method is actually called 5x5. Now this is a pretty ludicrous and extreme alien selection method. The way it works is all players, they write down a list of 5 aliens that they would like to have, and they write down 5 aliens that they don't want anybody to have. They're 5 veto aliens. And then all the players reveal them simultaneously, and you compare your lists. And so any alien that was not on somebody else's list of 5 aliens that they wanted, and not on anybody's list of 5 aliens to veto, is an alien you get to add to your coalition. So you could potentially be adding 5 aliens to your coalition for you to choose from. And one of the other things is that you could play with all of those aliens in that game. But we leave that as an optional variation on 5x5 for the campaign. Normally in a 5x5, if all 5 of the aliens that you have chosen get through unscathed, you're playing that game with 5 aliens. And if your list of 5 gets whittled down to 0, Originally, the way that we played this was you just didn't have an alien, but that was too harsh for some. So you're getting a random alien that is not on anybody's list anywhere, and you have the one alien. For the campaign, we'd like, all right, we're adding those to the coalition, and you still get to pick from those aliens, from your whole coalition, what alien you're going to play in that game. So it's actually a really, on its own, it's a really fun way to play Cosmic Encounter, because a lot of it is just in the mind games and trying to outwit the players and think of, these are aliens that will work really well together. But is anybody else going to think of it? And is anybody else going to try to head you off at the pass? And with over 200 aliens now, you get some really interesting combinations, and you can really, if you're clever, you can put stuff together. I mean, some people are like, well, you know, Mesmer and Volt, what a great combination that will be. But is it too obvious? Are too many people going to go for that? Or will everybody assume that somebody's going to think of it, and so they don't want to put it on their list, but will they put it on their veto list just to make sure that nobody else does it? Or do you try to go with some other stuff like Loser and Antimatter, or Virus and you know, Winner? There's a lot of interesting combinations, some of them just ridiculously broken, but you know, it is what it is. So you have to really think about it, and this is a true Cosmic Super Freaks way to play Cosmic. The variant is reward deck with ultra rewards, because you know, if you're going to play extremes, that's the way to go. And the scoring, it's you know, it's, you're getting more points for home colonies here than you do for foreign colonies, but then there's the pot, the normal tournament pot of 6 points that is split between the winners of the game, and you could get all 6 points if you win it on your own. All right, we're going to get into some other interesting things here. We next have is the random age of options, and the alien selection method for this is eeny meeny. And the way that one works is you are going to have the oldest player is going to select a number of aliens that's one more than the number of players. So if it's an 8-player campaign, they're going to pick 9 aliens, and that oldest player is going to just assign them. They're going to say, all right, you get this one, you get that one, you get the other one. There will be 2 aliens left over, and the youngest player will decide which of those 2 aliens that the oldest player is going to get. So that is eeny meeny. It's that's why you got Grumpus up there as the art for that one. The variant on there, it's Lux with something else that is I'm going to keep under wraps for now. It's a variant that somebody that I know created, and I think it's a terrific idea, but they haven't gone public with it, so I don't want to steal their thunder. We'll talk about it later on when they do, but I think it's a really neat thing, so I'm going to set that one aside, and don't bug me about it, because I won't break. I can't tell you. I'm not going to get into it. Let's get down to the last 2. So we've got the Cultivated Age of Control. And the way this works is the alien selection method is called Test Your Luck. This was a variant that someone else came up with that I thought was pretty cool on the Cosmic Encounter Discord. And the way it works is you're going to have a number of aliens equal to the number of players face up, and a second set of the same number face down. And in your determined order, you're just going to choose. You're going to pick, do you want to take one of the ones that you can see, or do you want to gamble on one of the ones that you don't know what it is and just end up with that added to your coalition? So it's risky, but could pay off with some rewards. The variant that is then there is hand draft, and what that is your starting hands are actually going to be drafted. So you'll deal out 8 cards to all the players, but then what you're going to do is you're going to pick a card out of those 8 to put face down on your sheet, and then you're going to pass them clockwise, and then choose from that one as well. So you will get to see some cards you have to pick, and knowing that it might be a card that you want, but it also might be a card you just want to make sure somebody else doesn't get. You may see Diplomat or Pacifist and say, I don't want to give them Negotiate, so I'm taking the Negotiates. It really adds a lot of intrigue to your starting hands in the game. You know, if you're dealt the 40, but also a really powerful flare, or a really useful artifact, you know, which one do you choose? You choose a 40. But, you know, some of these other, you know, like a 23, that might be a harder choice for you. So I like that. It is a very different way to approach it. And then finally, the last one we have is the Intrepid Age of Adventures. And so the alien selection method for that is a democracy. This is one where you're going to flip up an alien, and then on the count of 3, everyone is going to point to the player that they think should have that alien. And of course, you can point to yourself. And if a majority of players have pointed to the same player, they get that alien. Otherwise, it is set aside, and you draw again. And you just keep going until everyone has an alien except the last person, who is going to be able to pick from the set-aside aliens, if there are any, and if not, they just get a random one. And then the variant is called Inverted Decks, and the way that works is you're going to have the reward deck in the game, but the reward deck is considered the deck. It's the Cosmic deck, and the Cosmic deck now becomes the reward deck. So your starting hands are all going to be those blue-backed reward cards, and if you gain rewards, you can always choose to go to the Cosmic deck. Now, a lot of times when you have that choice in a normal game, people tend to gravitate to the reward deck. But it's interesting to see how that turns out when, you know, you're looking for flares, or you're looking for maybe better attack cards overall, or maybe you're an alien that does need negotiates, and you have a better chance of getting more of them by going to the new reward deck. So yeah, it's just a crazy way to play Cosmic Encounter for sure. So that is it. That's for this batch. I have a second batch that is in the works. I'm still cooking up some other ideas. So let me know, what are your ideas for age cards in terms of new ways to select aliens, new takes on the variants, or new variants? I definitely would love to hear about those. And let me know what you think of these, which ones excite you, which ones scare you, and anything else that you want to talk about the age cards for the Cosmic campaign. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.